Welcome to the second part of this infoForms video. During this video, we'll be looking at how infoForms can be very quickly created and deployed to an Android device. So just to recap on what infoForms does, it's basically a mobile app which allows us to capture data on the move. So this is really any Android mobile device, so that could be a tablet or a phone. And rather than people out and about during their working lives, collecting data on pieces of paper, we can do this on a mobile device. We can capture that data instantly. We can do other things like add video, capture barcodes, audio, photographs, GPS location, timestamp. So we can add lots of things that you can't do on a paper form. But the really important thing is, once the form is captured, we can output that automatically into a back-end system or database. In other words, we can speed up the processing of data through your organization. What we're going to have a look at in a minute is the design environment that allows us to create an application and deploy it to a mobile device. Okay, so now we're going to log on to the infoForms portal, and we'll actually design a real form and deploy it to a mobile device. The portal is also where we set up user permissions and what access rights people have to see particular forms and libraries of forms. And it's also where we can collect data on the forms that have been returned to us. So you can see here a little chart showing what forms have been sent back to us. Okay, so we're going to create a new form, and we can create them from templates, but we're going to start one from scratch. And we're going to create a simple proof of delivery form, quite a common application. And the first thing we'll do is add a list field, and we're going to put in here the driver's name. And what we're going to add to this are the drivers that we employ. So we can just keep adding these. So we've got a list here, and we can also put one at the end, not listed. And we can also add an extra field, which we'll do with a little bit of logic that allows us to put a driver in that is perhaps a temporary driver. So if we add an extra field here, we'll call it temp driver. And now we can go back and we can add a little bit of logic. So we'll add a rule that says if it's not listed, then we need to show our temporary driver. So this allows us to manually enter the driver's name that isn't on our list as standard. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is add a POD number, and we could manually enter a number, but what we're going to do is actually scan a barcode containing that number. So let's say that the delivery package had a barcode on it, or perhaps a delivery manifest had a barcode on it containing the POD number. So we'll put that barcode on there, and we can move these fields around in terms of changing the order. And we're going to call this field POD number. And basically, when we scan that, we're going to capture the proof of delivery number, which will allow us to tie it back up to that delivery, perhaps in our ERP system or perhaps a document management system. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is add some returns information. So if we add a yes or no field here, any returns, and we can see the fields here, and we're going to switch off not applicable because really it's only going to be a yes or a no answer here. We've got a no default, but perhaps we're going to make no as the default because normally there isn't any returns. So if there are any returns, perhaps we want to capture the details and even maybe a photograph of the returns. So we're going to put some long text in. So this is basically where we could add some notes. So we'll call this returns info. And then we'll add a photograph as well. So we'll add a photograph. And I've actually made a mistake there. That should have been, we'll copy that and we'll put that into here. And the reason I got an error there is that this is the unique name that that field is described by in the application. So what we're now going to do is add a little bit of logic to our form that means that if we select the returns field as being yes, it'll give us some more information to fill out and perhaps take a photograph. So if we just label this field here, photo of returns, and again we'll put a little bit of logic in here. So we'll create some field rules and we'll say if it's yes, then you want to see the information about the return. And we'll add another rule that says also you can put a photo in there as well. You may have noticed as well we've got a number of options here. We can add embedded photos, multiple photos, video, audio. There are all sorts of fields that we can add to our forms, including at the bottom here calculations, which can be quite useful. And okay, I think we're done on that section now. What we want to finish off really is a signature from the customer. So if we go down to the bottom here, we can add a signature. And again, we can move that to where we need it on the form. So if we put signature in, and we'll also put print name here as well, I think. And we'll also add number of parcels. And we'll probably move that above here. We can also split the form into sections and pages if we want to. So you might want to have a section containing the header details and maybe a section containing the sign-off. Obviously, if it's a complex form, it makes sense to break it into sections and pages. In this case, we've put it all into page 1, section 1, because it's a fairly simple one. The other thing we're going to do is we're also going to grab a timestamp of when it was signed for, and also capture the GPS location as well, which can be quite useful. Also on photographs, a couple of useful things. We can allow annotation, and we can timestamp the image, and also GPS tagging as well if we want to. So these are all useful things to prove when a particular photograph was taken. So that's pretty much it now. We save the form and we give it a name, POD. Okay, we've already created one called POD, so we'll call it POD new, and we'll save that. Okay, there's a couple more things we need to do before we deploy the form to our mobile device. So the first thing we're going to do is set up a little icon that allows us to recognize the form. So we're going to upload a little image of a van, and we can preview that image if we want to, and we'll save that. And we'll also set up the delivery options for our form as well. So basically, when the form's filled out, these are all the standard connectors that we have. So we can email forms back to the person who filled it in, or we could FTP it directly to a server in the background. And we've also got an API. So part of the skill at Document Genetics is we write connectors to virtually any back-end system. But for this application, we will simply email the person that submitted the form, i.e. the van driver in this case, with the details of the form. And it gives us a number of options here in terms of file formats. Probably the most popular one is a PDF, but obviously we can get all the data back in an Excel or a CSV format or an XML format. And we're going to put here new POD, see new POD attached. Normally you probably wouldn't email a POD back. You'd send it directly to you know, a back-end process or system, but it's probably the simplest way to show you how it works at this stage. So we'll save that, and pretty much now we're ready to go. So all we need to do now is publish the form. So we're going to publish the live version, and now we can have a look at the form on our mobile device. Okay, so now we're going to run our form on our mobile device. So first of all, we open the infoForms app, and we have to log in. So each user needs a unique logon, and we're now going to look at the forms on this device, and we've got quite a lot on here. So we're going to move down and find our POD, and we can see that POD new with the icon that we added. So we're going to start a new form. We're going to select the driver, and we're going to scan the POD information. So we've captured the barcode with the POD information. Are there any returns? Yes. Damaged box. And now we can take a photo of the return. And we may want to annotate that return to show where the damage is. Once we're happy, we can save that. Number of parcels 1, signature, okay, it's now saying that we've requested a time stamp, but the GPS isn't turned on, so we're going to switch that on. So we'll take that signature again, and we'll print the name. And now we're pretty much done. So we're ready to submit our form, and all we do is hit the arrow. And as long as we have an internet connection, that will be uploaded to our server, and we can now process that. And what we'll do in a second is have a look at the email that's been returned. So lastly, we're going to now have a look at the email that's been returned. So if we open, in my case, an Outlook client, and we can see an email here, and if we open the email, we can see the PDF attached. So we'll have a quick look at that, and you can see here that we've got the POD information. So we've got the driver name, the POD number, any returns, yes, and we can see the annotated photograph we took, and finally we can see the signature with the GPS and timestamp, and we also get a sort of GPS map here showing where the form was signed, and also we've got the date and time stamp on the image, which can be useful as well. We hope this web demo has been useful. If you have any questions, or you'd like your own trial of the infoForms system, please contact us at Document Genetics. Thank you.